yesterday, Carson Palmer, who was on our show Friday.
He was.
Dan asked him, hey, are you involved in the coach at your alma mater, USC, the search for a new coach there? And Carson Palmer said yes, that he's, part of just chit-chatting about it. And he mentioned that there's many front runners. So Dan hit him up and said, you can't have multiple front runners. There's a front runner. And that followed up with an answer of Carson saying, well, there's Penn State and Iowa State and Cincinnati. And, they already have coaches. He's mentioning now coaches that USC is interested in. And then he throws out Mike Tomlin's name. All right. Mm-hmm. And Dan's follow-up to that is Mike Tomlin's name being mentioned? And Carson Palmer said, talked about how great a job USC is, and that's the benefit that they were the first to have an opening, and there's a lot of people who would be interested in it. All right. So now it's time for Tomlin's turn. This is now dropped in his lap, out of the sky, no doubt out of the blue, because you can't blame USC or Carson Palmer if you're making up a wish list, if you're making up a list of who you'd like. Of course Mike Tomlin would be on the list. My goodness.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
The issue is okay. Before we get to Tomlin's response, when you talk to somebody about, do you want to coach in college or the pros? Mm-hmm. And you're seeing Urban Meyer's transition, let's put it, say, choppy at best, okay? That's being very generous, choppy.
Generous.
Like the air on the flight that he wasn't on.
There wasn't.
Okay, so, but Urban can wind up being as successful as, say, Pete Carroll by the end of the day.
Could be.
Never know.
He's got a great quarterback.
He sure does. And a management team that is behind him as much as they possibly can be. So you're saying the transition from college to the pros is one thing. Then the going from pro to college, now you're recruiting. The pro of it is you get, like Urban used to have, 5 great players at every position, as opposed to you just draft one choice per round.
Right.
And even then, sometimes you don't have all 7. The issue is you're out recruiting all the time, though. You're constantly going. You're going to the households of 18-year-olds and asking them, hey, you want to come play for me? But the benefit of all of going to college as opposed to pros is that if you win, you're there forever. You don't have to worry about your job security like you do in the NFL. And in the NFL. But there's one job in the NFL where you don't get fired. And they're constantly extending your contract because you do well. That's all you got to do. Is they don't fire coaches. I'm 52 years old. The Steelers have had 3 head coaches, Noel, Cowher, and this man, who today stepped to the podium and had this to say about what happened on Dan's show yesterday.
Hey, guys, I don't have time for that speculation. I mean, that's a joke to me. I got one of the best jobs in all of professional sport. Why would I have any interest in coaching college football? That'll be the last time that I address it. And not only today, but moving forward. Never say never, but never. Okay? Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check.
Anyone else?
All right. Thank you. Anybody asking Sean Payton about that? Anybody asking Andy Reid about stuff like that?
Whoa.
Put some respect on Mike Tomlin.
That is amazing.
Way to go, Mike.
This is incredible.
Well, nobody's asking Andy or Sean about that because that wasn't a name that was thrown out on a nationally syndicated radio and television show that's highly popular and that precedes this one every day. So, but, so there wasn't even a Michael Jordan 0.5% chance thrown out there.
No, that was never say never.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. You're in like the one position in the NFL that has college coaching tenure to it, The Pittsburgh Steelers, why would he want to go out here to Los Angeles, start something new, learn a new craft, to go to a new place I don't even need to go further down. There's one thing that I have heard that I'll just throw this one out about Mike Tomlin. If he just decides to ever want to stop coaching the Steelers for whatever reason that he would be professional broadcasting. Mm-hmm. I think every network would trip over themselves to see if Tomlin would want to do that. Immediately, if not sooner. That sort of delivery would be kind of, you could get that comment right there in between snaps. You know what I mean? You know, there's a 40-second play clock going down. Right. Coach, you want to fill the time right there? That's the guy that can fill the time with a very compelling piece of commentary.
I wouldn't say
that captures your attention.
Never say never throw that pass, but never throw that pass.
I would never say never, but never. That has to be Mike Del Tufo and the rest of our crew a new drop. Never say never, but never.
So good.
And just everybody who's listening on the radio right now, seek out this segment or wherever, this press conference. Just you have to see it. It's even better seeing it.
Yeah, you have to look at that man's face. Like, I think there were
he's
fear
pissed.
permeated
He's pissed.
through
So
that.
He's
pissed.
pissed. He's pissed. He's pissed.
Yeah,
He's coming off
pissed.
a bye. He's got the Browns, okay?
Yeah, he's pissed.
This is a big week. It's literally the last thing he wants or needs or asked for. Which leads me again to who's the person who informs the coach who's in the bunker of these things? Hey, Mike, it's got to just, something that's going to be brought up today. USC, what?
Is the same guy who goes to Art Rooney?
Or went to Coughlin. Hey, look,
Right.
I got to tell you something about what Odell's up to. Hour 2, Patrick Mahomes coming up.
Yeah.
Never say never, but never. There's not a big enough blank check. And, whoever was in charge of the press conference room there saying, anyone else? Thank you. Bueller, perfect Bueller.
Perfect.
Bueller.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Bueller. And it seemed like that was Matt Leinert's next. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
And then, but Tomlin had one last thing. Say, anybody ask Sean Payton this or Andy Reid this? Mm-hmm. Like, why aren't you going to other most tenured coaches in the NFL? People who are on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Why aren't you asking them if they want to coach college? He's probably pissed about that. Right there. Why would he want to go college? Like, honestly, why would he? And I know everybody thinks that their alma mater's job is the best. Everybody thinks that. Everybody thinks that their school's opening is the great. My school's got the greatest job ever. And USC, I mean, they're leading the pack right there, right? Mm-hmm. They're fighting on right now. Yep. After, I mean, how many coaches can you leave on a tarmac or fire in the middle of a season? And how many different athletic directors or scandals at the school can you actually have to say that, But it is still USC. It's still Los Angeles. It's still sunny blue skies here after it rained once in a blue moon. And you have a ton of high school talent around here. And if you can use this brand to get you back in the mix, back in the game, this would be an outstanding job. I totally understand it and get it. It just isn't right now. And for Mike Tomlin to even think about leaving the most stable job in professional sports, not the NFL. Name me another job that's more stable in professional sports. Come on. Name me one.
The Pats, I guess.
Well, that's only because Belichick is Belichick, right?
Well,
I mean, we'll see what happens the next time somebody's there.
I guess, yeah.
Because before Belichick, Pete Carroll, Bill Parcells, Dick McPherson, I could go on and on.
Bad. Connecticut women's basketball?
Before Tomlin, it was Cower. Before Cower was Knoll. Then I was born. And Ed O'Neill was cut by Chuck Knoll. That's how long ago this was. So stability in all of pro sports. Why would you leave that to go ask an 18-year-old, will you come play for me? Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.